Shedeur Sanders is igniting even greater intensity, with fans rallying steadfastly behind their quarterback and placing unwavering faith in his promise. On the other side, critics haven't hesitated to fire back, labeling those believers as naive or even foolish for backing Shedeur before he's officially proven himself in the NFL. Yet, history shows it's often the most passionate voices that never waver, and Garrett Bush is certainly one of them. Recently, EMTT Golden took aim at Sanders' supporters, accusing them of overhyping him and being overly defensive. But Garrett Bush wasn't about to let that attack slide. He fired back, exposing the blatant double standard in EMTT's words. Garrett reminded everyone that EMTT had already been campaigning for Dylan Gabriel to be the starter, even though Gabriel has clearly shown he's not ready for that spotlight. Garrett's rebuttal rang loud and clear. There's no reason to elevate other quarterbacks simply to diminish Sanders. He didn't stop there. Garrett emphasized that support for Shedeur isn't only about what he can do on the gridiron. It's about the bigger picture. He highlighted how Sanders has already displayed poise, leadership, and presence in interviews and press conferences. Even without taking an official NFL snap, Shedeur has commanded attention with his composure and confidence. For Garrett, that's undeniable evidence of a young leader in the making. Bush openly challenged the doubters. How can anyone rate him this low when it's obvious he's that good? He condemned the unfair evaluations, calling them not only inaccurate, but a gross underestimation of Sanders' ability. For Garrett and the fan base, judging Shedeur so harshly before he's had the chance to prove himself isn't just unreasonable, it's absurd. The talent is already there, simply waiting for the stage. To Garrett Bush, Shedeur Sanders isn't just a potential future star, he's ready right now. From his meticulous preparation to his calm under fire, Sanders embodies leadership. That, Garrett insisted, is precisely what Cleveland needs. Bush went as far as to say if anyone dares to come after Shedeur's supporters without legitimate reason, they'll get the same fiery pushback. No filters, no hesitation. His message was unmistakable. The loyalty and dedication of Sanders' fan base are real, powerful, and deeply rooted. Fans don't just admire his talent. They believe in his character, his relentless work ethic, and his ability to lead the Browns into a brighter future. And Garrett wasn't the only one sparking this debate. Colin Cowherd also took a jab at Sanders and his supporters, pushing his critique beyond analysis into outright disrespect. He challenged Shedeur's fans, mocking them to defend him like they once did for Baker Mayfield or Deshaun Watson on Reddit. But this wasn't just commentary. It was a direct shot at everything Shedeur and his community had been building. The backlash was immediate. Fans erupted on social media, refusing to let that level of disrespect stand. Cowherd's remarks crossed a line. Critiquing Sanders' performance is fair game, but ridiculing the people who believe in him? That's something entirely different. To insult their loyalty is to completely misunderstand the heart of sports fandom. These supporters aren't blind followers. They've seen Sanders' relentless grind, his leadership, and his vision. For them, Shedeur isn't simply a quarterback. He represents hope. Hope for a new era in Cleveland. Hope for a leader who embodies determination, resilience, and authenticity. Their belief runs deeper than the stat sheet. It's emotional, it's personal, and it's rooted in the dream of seeing Shedeur elevate the Browns to heights long overdue. Even in the offseason, Sanders refuses to ease up. Training in Miami, laser-focused, he prepares for what may be the most pivotal battle of his football life. A four-man competition for the starting job. His intent is obvious. He's not just showing up, he's showing up to claim the role. Through it all, Garrett Bush has remained one of his fiercest defenders. He's not merely standing up for Shedeur, but for the fans who continue to believe in him despite the noise. His sharp clapbacks at critics like EMTT Golden aren't just about silencing doubters. They're about protecting the passion and loyalty of a fan base that refuses to abandon its quarterback. Garrett Bush has made it unmistakably clear. He won't sit quietly while Sanders' supporters are mocked. Because in Shedeur Sanders, they don't just see a football player, they see a leader, a fighter, and a future worth believing in. His support goes far beyond Shedeur Sanders. It's about honoring the loyalty and conviction of those who stand with him. In an era where fandom is often dismissed or ridiculed, Garrett Bush reminds everyone that the bond between a player and his supporters is larger than wins and losses. It's about belief. It's about unity. It's about backing someone who symbolizes something greater. So here's the question. What's your take on Shedeur Sanders and the fans who are all in on his journey? Do you trust in what he brings to the table? Or do you think the hype has outpaced reality? And if you're still on the fence, how do you view the energy surrounding Shedeur and the unwavering commitment of his supporters? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let your voice be heard. Now, let's talk quarterback competition in Cleveland, because things are heating up fast. Word out of camp is that Shedeur Sanders is steadily pulling ahead in the QB1 battle, while Dylan Gabriel is beginning to raise real concerns about whether he can hold on to the job. Gabriel was brought in for his physical build and presence, but his performance hasn't matched the expectations. His arm strength has looked shaky, his consistency questionable. Sanders, on the other hand, has been outshining him with sharp decision-making and pinpoint accuracy. At this stage, all signs point to Shedeur being on track to seize the starting role. That shift carries massive implications for the Browns. Initially, Gabriel, drafted before Sanders, was expected to be the frontrunner, but his biggest liability has become impossible to ignore: his size. At just 5'11", in a league where stature matters, Gabriel's struggles have been exposed. His inability to consistently launch deep throws with velocity and precision has been glaring. Sanders, by contrast, has been delivering effortless bombs downfield, using his length, mechanics, and natural arm talent to his advantage. In camp scrimmages, the contrast couldn't be clearer. Gabriel falters under pressure, especially in congested pockets, while Sanders thrives. Analysts have begun asking the obvious question: how can a quarterback with such a glaring limitation realistically expect to survive, let alone succeed in the NFL? The issues with Gabriel became evident as early as OTAS and minicamp. One telling rep showed him visibly anxious about defensive linemen batting down his passes. To compensate, he released the ball higher, which disrupted his mechanics. Some throws sailed over receivers' heads, while others were tipped at the line, one of which turned into a pick six. That concern, tied directly to his smaller frame, has scouts drawing uncomfortable comparisons to undersized QBs like Johnny Manziel. That doesn't mean Sanders is flawless. Both quarterbacks still have things to refine, but Shedeur's consistency has set him apart. While Gabriel racks up batted balls and missed opportunities, Sanders has been dropping dimes with confidence. One particular throw electrified the practice field: a tight window strike to his tight end on a corner route near the back pylon. A linebacker trailed the receiver, the press coverage was tight, and the safety bit on the underneath route. Sanders instantly recognized the mismatch and unleashed a perfect ball over the top. It was textbook situational awareness, NFL ready. And now whispers are emerging around the league. Did the Browns grab Gabriel early in the draft simply to keep another franchise from landing Sanders? Because if camp is any indication, Shedeur Sanders isn't just Cleveland's future. He might already be their present. Owner Jimmy Haslam was reportedly very eager to bring Shedeur Sanders on board, but not everyone within the coaching staff was convinced at the time. Regardless of those early disagreements, Sanders is proving himself where it matters most, on the field. Every rep, every throw, every huddle is showing he's ready to compete at the highest level. Speculation has swirled that while Haslam pushed for Sanders, the staff instead selected Dylan Gabriel 2 rounds earlier. Not necessarily because they were in love with Gabriel's game, but because they hoped drafting him would prevent their impulsive owner from forcing Sanders onto the roster in round 4. Ironically, that decision may now be unraveling before their eyes. What separated Sanders isn't just his arm talent, it's his communication, his command, his presence. He's taken charge of teammates with calm leadership under pressure, steadily erasing doubts about his potential. His rapid growth is forcing the coaching staff to reconsider their original plans, and it's becoming increasingly clear that Sanders is making a legitimate case to be the future face of the Cleveland Browns. But it's not just the coaches noticing. Fans across all age groups are rallying around Sanders, many calling for him to be named QB1 immediately. His electrifying play style, magnetic personality, and natural leadership have lit a spark in the fan base. The excitement isn't only about what he might become someday, it's about the energy he's already injecting into this franchise. Supporters are hungry for a leader who can inspire, produce results, and change the culture. Right now, Sanders looks like that guy. Even veteran quarterback Joe Flacco has praised him, noting not just Sanders' play, but the positive energy he brings to the locker room. "Shedeur's been great. He's a lot of fun to be around," Flacco said, admitting the rookie has already cracked a few smiles in meeting rooms. For a seasoned veteran like Flacco to highlight Sanders' presence says a lot about the impression he's leaving. Meanwhile, Dylan Gabriel's stock is sliding fast. He entered camp with optimism, buoyed by his size and athleticism, but his performances have raised troubling questions. His deep throws under pressure have been erratic, exposing a glaring weakness. Despite his frame and physical tools, Gabriel hasn't displayed the arm strength, precision, or composure needed to thrive at the NFL level. His inability to remain poised in collapsing pockets has only fueled skepticism about whether he can truly cut it in this league. Sanders, on the other hand, has shown the exact opposite: confidence, composure, and consistency. His accuracy and decision-making under duress have stood out throughout training camp. Even without a full share of first-team reps, he's remained locked in, disciplined, and prepared, showcasing a professionalism and hunger beyond his years. That, paired with his upbeat personality and natural leadership, has earned him the respect of both teammates and coaches. Now, the gap between Gabriel and Sanders is widening, and the conversation is shifting. Fans aren't just watching a rookie develop, they're watching a leader emerge. So here's the question for Browns fans. With Gabriel stumbling and Sanders rising, who do you see as QB1? Are you still holding out hope that Gabriel can turn things around? Or do you believe Sanders is the obvious choice to lead Cleveland into the future? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this quarterback battle is only getting more intense. The haters could keep fuming. Sanders had their attention now. And in the NFL, attention is currency. The only question left was how far he could take it. By the third week of the preseason, the Browns' training facility felt different. You could sense it in the weight room, in the meeting spaces, even in the cafeteria. Shedeur Sanders wasn't just a rookie anymore. He had become the gravitational center of the building, not in a loud, look-at-me way. He didn't stroll around with an entourage or stomp his cleats to announce his arrival. His pull was quieter, more magnetic. Guys gravitated toward his lunch table. They lingered near his locker before practice. They jumped into extra throwing sessions after drills. Consciously or not, the roster was hitching its momentum to him. This shift didn't happen because of a single highlight throw or one headline-grabbing game. It was built from the accumulation of moments, practice after practice, drive after drive, where Sanders made the right read, elevated the huddle, or turned a busted play into something positive. That consistency was what truly separated him from Dylan Gabriel. And everyone could feel it. To Gabriel's credit, he never stopped swinging. The brighter Sanders' spotlight got, the harder Gabriel worked. He stayed late with the second-team offense, threw extra routes with backups and rookies, and stayed professional with the media. But no matter how steady he played, the comparison was inescapable. Sanders wasn't just making good plays. He was making memorable ones, the kind that get retold in the locker room and replayed online. One of those came during a closed practice with no cameras rolling. The starting defense dialed up an all-out blitz during a red zone drill, collapsing the pocket instantly. Sanders sidestepped the rusher, rolled right, and, off balance, lasered a rope to Amari Cooper in the back corner of the end zone. Cooper dragged both feet, popped up like it was nothing, and jogged back to the huddle. The sideline erupted. Even defensive backs shook their heads, muttering that's not supposed to happen in practice. Those are the plays that change how people see you. Coaches began using Sanders' tape in meetings, not just for quarterback coaching, but for teaching situational football to the entire offense. "Look here," Stefanski said in one film session, freezing the frame as Sanders was about to be hit. "Eyes up, feet moving, decision made before the pressure lands. That's why this ball is out on time." It didn't escape the veterans that the head coach was holding up a rookie as the standard. In NFL culture, that's a signal, one that says, this guy's level is worth following. The front office noticed another shift. Media requests for Sanders doubled in 2 weeks. Local shows wanted him in studio. National podcasts wanted him on the phone. Fan events featuring him were drawing record attendance. He'd become Cleveland's most marketable figure before ever taking a regular season snap. That left the team with a choice. Play it safe, start Gabriel in week 1, and bring Sanders along slowly. Or lean into the momentum, hand the rookie the reins, and accept whatever came with it, good, bad, or chaotic. The decision was already tilting toward the latter. The week before the final preseason game, Sanders took nearly every first-team rep in practice. Gabriel worked with the twos. Players read between the lines, and by warm-ups, the vibe was unmistakable. This was Shedeur's offense. The final preseason game became an unofficial coronation. Sanders played the first half, leading 3 scoring drives on 4 possessions. He didn't force throws or chase heroics. He ran the offense like a veteran, taking what the defense gave him and striking deep only when the timing was right. One drive saw him hit Cooper for back-to-back first downs, then find David Njoku on a seam route for a touchdown. His stat line, 14 for 18, 172 yards, 1 touchdown, no turnovers. Gabriel played the third quarter, accurate, composed, but the crowd's emotional investment had already shifted. They wanted Sanders back. After the game, the locker room was a mix of celebration and quiet inevitability. Veterans congratulated Sanders. Gabriel shook his hand and said, "You earned it." For a man who had just been edged out of the starting job, it was the definition of professionalism. The next morning, Stefanski called both quarterbacks into his office. The meeting was short. Sanders was named the Week 1 starter. Gabriel would be the backup and an important presence in the QB room. They shook hands and walked out. That afternoon, the announcement went public. "Shedeur has earned the opportunity to lead our team," Stefanski told reporters. "He's shown poise, preparation, and command beyond his years." Cleveland reacted instantly. Social media exploded. team stores saw another spike in jersey sales. Thank you guys. See you next video.